Good morning and welcome. We're happy to be here and hope that you will join us. It's a beautiful day today in Maine and in Saco and Biddeford. I always have to talk about the weather. It's just beautiful. I can't wait to get home and rake leaves. And if I don't rake leaves, I'm going to paint my back entranceway. So I'll have to take my choice. I think it's going to be rake leaves. Today we're going to talk about something very interesting to everybody. It's about children. I think we all love children, one way or another, we do. And they need us. And so I would like to introduce Aaron Weiss, excuse me. I never get last names right.
That's neither do I.
And that's Dr. Aaron Rice. And Mike Desjardins, I think most of you must know him. And he is an MCCP board member and Hugs for Haley director. And MCCP stands for Maine Children's Cancer Program. And these men are very active in that program, and I hope they'll tell us all about it. I'll start with Dr. Rice. But would you tell us about your background a little bit?
Sure. I grew up in the Philadelphia area, and where most of my family is from. But due to my training, I've had to move around quite a bit and been in areas such as Delaware and Memphis, Tennessee, and New Jersey. And then in the past year, moved up to Portland, Maine, so I could practice at Maine Children's Cancer Program as a pediatric hematologist-oncologist.
And you liked Maine?
Yep, I knew very little about Maine before I moved here. I think we went up once to ski and otherwise didn't know much about the area, but it's beautiful. It's been a year, but it feels like we've been here longer. Our family's acclimated well, and I just have to say that probably the people in Maine are probably one of the more genuine, salt-of-the-earth people that I've gotten to know, and it's been very easy to get acclimate to the area.
We have everything in Maine. The mountains, the ocean, farms, lakes, everything, and the seasons.
Yes, and we love to ski, so
good.
Another good reason.
Now continue with your background.
So my interest growing up was to be a physician. There are no physicians in my family, and so it's something that I've always wanted to do and make a difference. And pediatrics is something that has always been something near and dear to my heart in terms of helping children. I'm a little bit more of a vulnerable population. I wanted to emulate my pediatrician growing up that I was very close with. And so everything was kind of lined up for me to go into that field of medicine of general pediatrics. And I happened to have an incredible encounter with a patient during my pediatric training that happened to have a type of cancer. And there was something that just went off almost like an epiphany in my head of this field that I hadn't really given a lot of thought to, that it just ultimately encompasses everything that I was looking to get out of life. And so from that point on, I made a decision with my wife to pursue this career, which really created a lot of changes in our life. We had to pick up and move to another area of the country to train and add additional years of training on when all my friends were working. But it's been the most rewarding experience. Being able to train, I was out in Memphis, Tennessee at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which was a fantastic place to learn and train. And then I was able to bring that back to this area, and feel fortunate to be able to practice that now in the Portland area.
That's great. That's wonderful. I envy you.
Well, it's really it's the patients and the families that we envy. I tell people that all the time when they ask, how can you do that type of job? It's really the inspiration of the children and the families that go through this that allows us to do what we do. We're really mostly there just to guide them through the process and help get them through it. But it's the families and the children that really have to do it. And so for us, it's inspirational. It makes us appreciate life and want to come in and not think of it as a job every day.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think I could do it for long. I tried hospice. I didn't last long. It takes special people. Special people.
Yeah.
And now, would you tell us, I want to hear about the race, first of all.
Well, back in 2008, ZAFFIE, my daughter Haley was diagnosed with an immune disease called aplastic anemia. And it's a disorder of the blood, and that's where Maine Children's Cancer comes into play, because they have hematologists, physicians on staff there. And it's a disease that is very similar to leukemia, where her body was not producing any of her blood cells. During that year, we had treatment at Maine Children's Cancer Program, and the race was developed as a fundraiser for my family through the Biddeford Saco Elks Lodge.
Now, when was the first year?
The first year was in 2009. Yeah. And so that year it was to benefit my family. You know, there's certain things that aren't covered by insurance. There's a lot of travel time, a lot of you know, time that you have to take off from work. So as you can imagine, having a sick child, it's very distracting. And I'm a building contractor, and it wasn't very safe for me to be up on a roof while my daughter was in the hospital. And having a younger child as well, Haley's sister, you know, we had to take an awful lot of time away from our everyday life to attack and to join together and help her. So the Elks came together, and they had this 5K road race to benefit my family. And it was very successful, and they helped us out tremendously. And within a year after Haley started her treatment, she started to get better. And right now, I want to say, let's see, that was 2008. So 6 years later, Haley is in remission. She's 11 years old and 12 years old. And she's a sixth grader at Saco Middle School, and she's doing really well. The following year, in 2010, my family, along with the Biddeford Saco Elks Lodge, decided to continue the race and do it to benefit Maine Children's Cancer, and we've been doing that ever since. And
That's a good thing.
it is. It is. You know, having a child that's sick changes your perspective on life, and my wife will say it's almost to a fault, but I am all about giving back to the community now, and you know, giving back to the doctors and the staff at Maine Children's Cancer Program that saved my daughter's life, because they truly did.
I remember back then.
Yep.
I met her. She was a little girl then.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's doing really well now, and we continue this race to help out other families. We've met several families in the area through Maine Children's Cancer Program. Several children that have the same disease that Haley, that are all doing very well. And you know, we're all about, like I said, paying it forward, and you know, that's how I became involved in the board of directors for Maine Children's Cancer Program as well. And now I sit on the board, and we're all about raising the funds to help out the families that don't have the financial means to get treatment. And you know, we'll never refuse anybody, but you know, there are, like I said, there are certain things that are very important in the program and very special to the program that we help support.
That's wonderful.
It's truly helpful, and it's so helpful to us because so many of our families are coming from all over the state of Maine. And so many of them don't have the resources to be able to get to us. We service the entire state, essentially. And so a lot of these families are coming from miles and miles away, and just something as simple as paying for gas to get to travel, just to get to us. They oftentimes have to stay for long periods of time at the hospital. And so the money that we're able to raise to support these families, oftentimes one of the family members has to stop their job temporarily so that they can support what's happening.
It affects the whole family.
It certainly does. And the program, the staff at the clinic actually treats the whole family. There's a staff of social workers there that help the families get through the whole process, because every family is different, and every day there's new challenges that you're dealing with. Side effects to the medications. I remember Haley was on steroids, and the myth of steroids, being angry and eating a lot. Well, it's true. Can you imagine a 6-year-old little girl who ate 4 or 5 sandwiches a day, and she truly ate like a trucker. It was and
Did she gain weight?
she did. She gained quite a bit of weight. But after the steroids were done, she was fine with that. But then along with that, medicine, there was a side effect of anger, and so the social workers helped us get through that because it's a very emotional time. And I think having them on staff is huge, and it's an amazing asset to the program.
Mike brings up a great point, because oftentimes it gets overlooked, because everyone thinks of the physicians and the nurses who do incredible work at that clinic. But one of the main reasons I came here is because of how strong the social work, psychosocial component of the care that we provide to our families is here. I've never been anywhere where it's this strong.
That's
and
good to know.
We have child-like people who help out in our clinic, just to have the kids oftentimes have to have needles through certain, to get accessed for when they receive their therapies, to have laboratory studies drawn, and that can be very traumatic. And so to have those people support around, just even our front desk, the people who are everyone's so invested in it, and it's a very nice family atmosphere, and we provide many other things besides just direct medical care to the family's siblings, which we otherwise couldn't do unless we had other funds to be able to do that.
It's wonderful. I know my husband was sick many years with lymphoma, leukemia. I told you everything turned to gangrene. I don't think there's anything he missed. Bleeding ulcers over the years. I think there was something wrong with his blood. I don't know. Yeah, but he lived a good life just the same. He loved to work. And I think when he was up on his feet and working, he felt better. Never complained. I don't know how that man did it.
Right.
I know he could sleep anywheres or all the time,
Right.
But when I think of it, and we made it.
Right.
I thank God for that. We're all fine.
And these children never complain.
No.
It's amazing to me what they go through and what we do, and that they get through it.
It's
And,
like
and,
they
they, and they
just-
just want to play. The kids and so our goal as an organization is to allow kids to be kids. I mean, that's really what's most important to us. So whatever we can do to allow that to happen is what we try to do. And so
That's a big goal.
we try to
though.
normalize their life as much as we can in a very difficult situation. And the fact that most of them are able to do that, and we are able to cure the majority of our children, allows them to grow up and lead nice, healthy lives, and to get them through and be able to play with their friends and go back to school. These are nice little milestones that are important for them to achieve.
It's quite a thing. So now, did you have your race yet this year?
Yes, we had it in. It's the last weekend. Oh, in September. Yes,
thought so.
Yeah, it's the last Saturday in September, and this year I actually just totaled up our money that we raised this year, and it's just a little bit over $13,000.
Very good.
And over the past 5 years doing it for MCCP, we're up over $50,000. So
Amazing.
it's a great community to live in, Saco and Biddeford and Old Orchard Beach. And,
It is.
We have very good friends and very good support, through the town, and so it's a good thing to do for the program. And we're very fortunate to have the Elks Lodge in Biddeford Saco support the program as well. And not only the Biddeford Saco Elks Lodge, but statewide. Back in 1985, the Maine State Elks Association adopted MCCP as one of our charities that we raise money for. And since 1985, there's 22 lodges in the state of Maine. And since 1985, we've raised over $3 million for Maine Children's Cancer Program. So not only does it happen here in Saco, but it happens statewide through the Elks. And we're all about giving back and and helping out the community. And Maine Children's Cancer Program is a great organization to support, and I can attest to that.
Now, are a lot of sick children?
Are most of the children?
Is there a lot of them?
Well, it's all relative. I mean, it feels like to us there are a lot. Certainly, there's a huge need in the state of Maine to have. We treat about 50 to 60 new cancer patients per year in the state of Maine. But as Mike pointed out, we treat children who have a lot of chronic or life-threatening disorders that aren't necessarily cancer, but yet can result in a lot of serious complications such as aplastic anemia, sickle cell disease, hemophilia. We treat blood disorders as well as cancer disorders as well. So if you take all those patients together, that's an even greater number of patients that we help to take care of.
It's sad to see little children.
It is. What I always tell people, this is what I think is some of the more important things when we go to give talks about this particular subject, is that just in the 1950s, 1960s, maybe 10% of children with cancer were cured of their disease, and we're now over 80%. And certain cancers like leukemia, which is the most common cancer that we see in children, cure rates are over 90%. So I think we've come a long way and certainly have a lot more work to do. But even aplastic anemia, we used to not have very good therapies for that particular type of condition, and now we can do things and allow children to still go to school and do things from home with the treatments that we can provide and cure most of these children.
I don't know, that's good.
It's more good in our eye. It's more good than bad, and I don't find
It's
it.
all
I don't
good.
find it as a depressing field. There are definitely times when it can be very overwhelming emotionally and depressing because we can't save every child, but we have many more good successes, and any child that we take care of, we learn from, and we're able to build on that to help with the next child that comes in.
And don't ever forget the families, because they're suffering maybe more than the child.
Children they're pretty resilient. I remember being in the hospital with Haley, and you walk down the hallways, and the kids are riding tricycles through the hallway, or they're kicking a ball through the hallway, and I think the people that it affects an awful lot are the parents. The last thing you want is to see your child hurting or sick or scared. And you would see the kids, they just would kind of roll with it, and a lot of them have their days where they aren't up to par, and they're not feeling so happy, but the program and there's child life specialists through the hospital and through the clinic, and they are all about getting the kids to play and having them be as comfortable as they can when they're going through their procedures. There's many needle pricks and prodding and pokes and waking up in the middle of the night to distribute medicines, and so there's always someone there that is there to help the families and talk with the parents. I remember I would sometimes have to just take a walk, and there would be someone from the clinic, whether it be a nurse or a social worker, that would take a walk with me and talk, and it's very important. And it's a great program that we have here in the state of Maine. We're very, very fortunate, because if we didn't have it, then families would have to travel to Boston or to out of state, and I remember going down to Dana-Farber for a second opinion for Haley, and the doctor we met there, she told me straight out that we really didn't need a second opinion, because the doctors and the staff that we have here in Maine could practice anywhere in the best hospitals around the country, but they choose to live here because of the way of life and because of the community.
Aren't we lucky?
And we are very, very fortunate. And you know, if anybody, you know, has a chance to, you know, take a look at what's going on and visit the website and see, it's truly an amazing doctor's office, like nothing you've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have, I mean, so all of us have trained in large academic centers throughout the country. And so there's very few programs that you can train to become a pediatric hematologist oncologist. So you have people drawing from all big academic centers from all over the country who've learned, you know, skills in certain areas, who've chosen to live in this area because of the community and how we want to raise our family here and help take care of this you know, state. So you're getting really a lot of expertise from all over the country. And in addition to that, our program is part of a national consortium called the Children's Oncology Group, which is a large group that oversees almost all childhood cancer care in North America, as well as some other countries. And so we all practice under that same umbrella. And so the therapy that you'd be receiving here or being offered as a patient here, you would also receive in almost any city and country across, you know, over the entire United States. So you can be assured that all the research that's being done and all the studies that are being offered are state of the art and are what would be kind of the most current standard of care for children right now with cancer.
Is there an age where maybe one age maybe you may have more children sick at that age?
Right, so I'd say it depends on the type of cancer that we see. Certainly for leukemia, which is the most common cancer type, 2 to 5 years of age is the most common. So in general, that's probably a large number of our patients are around that age range, but we have a number of adolescents that we treat as well with certain types of lymphoma, brain tumors, which are also two of the more common cancers that we see in children, bone tumors and other types of cancer. I'd say that young 2 to 5 age and then that adolescent age are probably some of the more common ages, but we treat up to even patients in their early 20s, depending on what type of cancer that they have, from birth all the way up. And even after they finish their treatment with us, we have a late effects clinic where we see patients long after their therapy's over on a sometimes yearly basis to monitor them for the late effects of the treatment, to make sure that they grow up as healthy a lifestyle as they can, and look out for the certain side effects that we can anticipate based on the type of therapies that they required.
Fantastic. Great.
You know, we actually, Haley goes to the clinic once a year now, and we actually look forward to it because the staff and the doctors there are like our family, and it's very exciting to go and visit the doctors there and
get a good report.
Well, yeah, well, it is. You know, we always get a little on edge the week before she goes because she does have to have blood drawn, and then we're always wondering what her blood counts are going to be and if she's going to be healthy with this checkup. But it's very reassuring to know that we're going to, you know, go into the clinic where they know us, and it's pretty exciting to see the faces on the doctors and nurses when they see Haley, how she's doing well, and then when they hear you know, her stories of the sports that she plays, and they're truly engaged with her development and her future.
People.
Yep. And I think it's the fact that we're also small in some of the larger academic centers, we can be more intimate, and we get to know these families on a very personal level. We all become almost part of the family. And so we get to know and ask those. We've had patients who have had to move and relocate to other parts of the country, and they all say that it's just, there was something special about being at Maine Children's Cancer Program that just felt different. You weren't just a number. You were really thought of as a whole family unit. And just as he talked about,
that's important,
and it is important. And we have not just we have all the support staff there, but we have many activities throughout the year. We have support groups. We have fathers' nights out. We have mother support groups, sibling activities that we do, that the social workers and other people in our clinic put on for these families throughout the year to keep everyone involved. And it's nice to just step out of the clinic and the hospital and just see people in a different light. And have talk about things that aren't always just
to get away from it a little bit, and then you can go back and you're recharged.
Right.
And these social events are very important to the families as well, because you don't feel so alone. You get to meet other families that have gone through similar similar experiences at the clinic, and you can, if maybe your child's not doing so well that week, you can see one a year out, a child that's been a year out of treatment who's doing really well, and it encourages you. And
So that's like therapy.
It is in itself. Having a group of people get together to go to the Sea Dogs game, and you see all the kids and the kids that are doing well, and some of them are having a hard week or whatnot. It's just good to see that everybody can come together and kind of join together in a similar way.
Right.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't be possible unless we had the fundraising, to do it. And that's such an important part of our program, is that without having these races and other fundraising programs, we could not have these programs to offer for these families, and to have many of our staff are paid based on our fundraising ability, and we wouldn't be able to support. And so it's just so important for us, and we're so appreciative of anyone who's able to help the cause, because you just never know when it's going to happen to someone you know or someone in your family.
Where are you? Where is you?
We're based, so our clinic is in Scarborough,
Okay.
but we often treat our patients, at least in the hospital setting, at Maine Medical Center in Portland. But our clinic is based in Scarborough, Maine.
That's good to know.
Yes, it is.
I don't know, you know how you felt when you were going through it, and
It's definitely tough, but it's something you have to attack and go at with the thought that you're going to do everything possible to heal your child. And like I said, we went for second opinions to make sure that we were going in the right direction, and we pretty much shut down our home, and we wouldn't let people come in the house because she was her immune system was suppressed, so she could get sick very easily. We had a Purell washing station at the door where people would have to wash with their hands with the and we our youngest daughter, Maddie, she was 3 at the time, and she made a sign at the door that said, "If you're sick, don't come in." And so, but you definitely you get in the mindset that you have to do everything possible for your child, and we're again very fortunate to have the support where we can do that, and we're one of the lucky families where Haley's doing very well, and sometimes there's not so good ends to the story, but a lot of times what you will see is that the parents come out of it with a sense of having to give back, like I said, and hopefully people can benefit from what they've gone through as well.
And only you know. We can talk about it, but only you know what you went through and what you do.
Right. It's hard, and we always tell families we can't put ourselves in your shoes, and we try to do that, but ultimately they have to live that. And this isn't something that the child did, the parent. There's always that guilt factor initially, and we try to just tell them it's just true. This is nothing that anyone did, and it's there, and we need to take care of it. And
It's just fate.
it's just it's a shock initially, but it's a whole life. Everything just changes from then forward, and even when everything is all done, it's always kind of that in the back of your mind, always worrying and wondering.
I know with you. My second child was 6 months old and back then doctors didn't think too much about gallbladder. Well, he had attacks, and finally one morning at 2 o'clock, I called the doctor because his stomach had swollen, and they rushed him to the hospital and operated. The minute they got that out, it exploded. It was gangrene.
Oh.
Always something.
Right.
You live with that.
Right. You don't know, and I think most of us who've gone through this and in this field just know you live every day, because you just don't know. You appreciate what you have, and you don't know. But I think it's at least encouraging to know when something like this can happen, that there are people and organizations and groups around that can support you.
Good to know,
You might not know
especially
about
for
them.
children.
Right.
He was an adult, but especially for children.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, it changes the kids.
Oh, I know.
It changes them. They grow up very quickly, and they have a sense of community and compassion and giving back. I remember Haley, after her treatment, she hadn't yet lost her first tooth, and she lost her first tooth, and the tooth fairy gave her $2. And it was around Christmas time, and Haley woke up the next morning, and I came down after her, and she was at the table writing a letter to the tooth fairy, sending $1 back for other kids that needed it.
Isn't that nice?
And I think, you know, that comes from, you know, being involved with the program and the clinic, and seeing how
And what you
compassionate
both-
and loving other people can be towards her. She's paying it forward, and you know,
But
that's one of my favorite stories from
That's a
what we've
beautiful
gone
thing
through.
to learn.
And it is, and you know, I think that you know, as a family, we've changed for the better. You know, and you know, we were on a different path before Haley was diagnosed, and now we're in a totally different direction, and
you appreciate it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Take every day for what it is. I don't work as hard anymore. I spend more time with the kids, make enough money just to pay the bills. And you know, my wife changed careers because of this. She's now a teacher, and so you know, it's definitely. I think it's good for people to hear, you know, that there's good stories that come out of it. You know, I know there's an awful lot of stuff out there that is always on the negative part of childhood diseases, and you know, there are some good stories that come out of it, and more so now because of the efforts of the, you know, Maine Children's Cancer Program and the doctors, and you know, all the people that do give financially and you know, give of their time to support the program.
It's very important.
And it's also important that we push the field further. And so in our group, we're mostly academic trained, and so most of us are doing research. In particular, even though in our group, we all treat children with all different types of disorders, some of us have particular interest in have research in certain things like leukemia or brain tumors, and certain types of solid tumors, and that research we do on a local level as well as on a national level, and I think that's good. It also puts Maine on the map as well, having physicians who work there who do a lot of national and international research that's well known and respected, you know, across the country.
That's important too.
Yeah, because we know until we're at 100%, we have some work to do, and there's some that require even more work than others. And
It'll never end.
It'll
never
right,
end.
It won't. But hopefully, we certainly made significant strides. And even what's nice is even now we're at a point where we're doing at least so much better in certain areas that we actually are learning ways to maybe reduce therapy to decrease the long-term side effects for these children and adolescents so that they can live healthy lives.
Can you learn from one sick child? Do you learn something that you can use? You know, something that you didn't know?
We learn from every single child that we
And
see.
are they all different?
So it is amazing to think. So even at one particular cancer, or you could have 10 children with aplastic anemia, and all of them could do something different. So we take something away from all the children that we see, and we learn from them. We always get a new patient, and almost the first thing we think of is, oh, remember such and such, and how this was a kind of a similar presentation, and so we are able to build on that for the future and the other children that we see. And it also helps us from a research standpoint too. You know, every child we see, we ask questions in our minds, and sometimes those questions foster research that we get through funding as well to help us answer some of those questions, so that the next child that comes in, we have information or maybe new therapies that we previously didn't have that we can offer to them.
That's good. That's like learning on the job.
Right. We learn every day. That's part of, we all we have to, but all keep current with all the information. We read, you know, journals every day, and go to attend conferences multiple times a year, so that we feel inundated with all the current research, because families that are coming to us want to know that we know what's out there and that we've researched and know that we're offering their child what is the state-of-the-art therapy that is available for any particular condition.
Very good. Now, I'm going to change the subject a little bit. How is your business going?
My business is great. Yeah, you know, I say that I take time for my family. Well, this time of the year, Haley's playing basketball, and I don't coach the basketball, so now I've kind of directed a lot of my efforts towards business, and yeah, seems like the economy is on the upswing, and everything's
hope
good.
so.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I do a lot of residential remodeling, and it's great. Yep.
Good.
Yes.
That's good. What would you look for in the future? What is your dream?
Well, besides the great goal of having all children cured, I think that if, at least for us, the idea, I think, in our field, most of us feel that if we can get to a more personalized approach to treating children with cancer, then we would be going a long way. Because historically, and what we mostly do now, is we treat children with chemotherapy medications that certainly do a good job of curing the cancer, but have a lot of other side effects that unfortunately we don't want and need. And some of the therapies we give may be unnecessary. So if we can find certain types of abnormalities that make some patients' cancer different than somebody else's, and we can develop therapies to target those differences, we can attack on a more individualized basis that patient's cancer with hopefully less side effects. And I think that's where things are going. I'm doing research in a particular area now where a national study will hopefully be opening shortly, treating children with a certain type of cancer with a little bit more of a personalized, targeted therapy to ultimately decrease those side effects and help these cancers that we're not doing a good enough job with.
I like that.
I think that's where things are heading. I mean, in the adult world, you hear about personalized medicine all the time, and it's starting to trickle down into pediatric cancers. And I think that's where things are certainly heading. We're learning a lot more about cancer than we used to, a lot more biology of the cancer. And therefore, if you know about how a cancer starts and how it progresses, then you can attack those processes early on and
I think that's
be more.
excuse me. I think that's great.
I think it's very important, ZAFFIE, too, that people realize that childhood cancer research is very underfunded, and a lot of the funds that are donated to the Cancer Society and things like that don't go towards childhood cancer research. So a lot of these fundraisers that we do here locally support that, but it's still not enough. And I think that people need to be a little bit more proactive with people that are representatives, and maybe try and push forward a little bit more research funding at the national level for childhood cancer research. It's minimal amount of money that actually gets put into childhood cancer research, and it's one of the big myths is everybody says it's a rare form of childhood cancer. It's a rare, and it's more prevalent than you would think.
It's funny, once you experience it or hear about it, you hear them.
Okay. And so if you really want to to make a difference with your money towards childhood cancer, just be sure that you're actually donating to a childhood cancer specific fund. Because there are a lot out there, but a lot of those funds just go to adult research versus the kid end of it. So I think that's important for people to know as well. Try and research where your money's going.
That's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Well, we try to.
Oh yes, every penny counts. And
Do you ever look at a little child and wonder? You see them doing things and wonder, I wonder what's going on in his head. I try to figure out, what is he thinking?
Right.
They're all so different.
It's amazing. I mean, and we hit them with such difficult medications and ones that would make you sick. And I know that if I get nauseous and start throwing up, I'm on the couch all day and I'm done. I'm done. These children, they get sick, then they just get up and they said, all right, where's the playroom? I want to go play. It's incredible, the drive. We have children who have certain types of tumors in their legs that require either amputation or certain types of limb salvage surgeries, and within a day or two they are up and they're moving and walking with assistance, and the motivation is truly amazing. And what helps is that they don't have as many of those other comorbid or other conditions that you get sometimes as you get older, and so these kids are generally healthy, and
That helps.
that combined with their motivation just to play. I mean, most of these young children just want to, or adolescent just wants to get together and hang out with their friends, and so they don't want to be the one everyone feels sorry for and lying on the bed. They're up and moving. It's the parents we sometimes have to spend more time talking with than the children, and they oftentimes the kids just want to be kids.
Poor parents, too.
Oh, it's very difficult. It is. As Dr. Weiss said, there were plenty of times where we just wanted to curl up in a ball and not have to deal with what was going on. But you
did
can't.
a good job.
You can't do that. You have to be strong for
No, you got
your
to.
kids and your family and the other members of your family. If you have other, if the patient has siblings, you have to be there for them as well, because.
Yeah, no, it's hard, and oftentimes the conversations that take place, when the parents are talking in front of their child, they're oftentimes holding back a lot of the tears and emotion because they don't want their child to, to pick up on that and to see that, and so oftentimes have meetings with the child and the family, and then we'll have separate meetings with the parents so that we can talk to them and they let the emotions out, which is sometimes you're afraid to do that in front of the children. To seem that they feel like you're being strong, which they are.
I don't want to see a child go to bed hungry, never mind all these serious illnesses.
Be very trying on a marriage as well. That's.
It
yeah,
is. How many marriages break up?
Well, yeah, and we were very fortunate there. We had a pretty strong marriage to begin with, and we each have good senses of humor. And sometimes that's all you can do. You've cried your last tear, and all you can do is kind of laugh. And so.
And your love for each other and the child, you're going to do it.
Right.
And again, that's where the social workers come into play. They helped us, and we were very fortunate to come out of it on top. So.
I don't think people, the humor part of things often gets overlooked. People always think of like our clinic and such as doom and gloom, and everyone's walking around like dressed in black and with their heads down, and it's not like that at all. It's a very joyous, happy place, and we oftentimes will wear crazy ties, and always we have patients who come in and just tell us jokes, and we do the same back. And even in the most serious situations, humor and laughter is really a wonderful medicine. And so we're big proponents of that, and people are often shocked when they come to clinic. Like we have residents who rotate through when they're training as a pediatrician. They'll spend time in our clinic, and they can't believe it's not anything like they envisioned. It's it's bright and cheerful, and so I think that's another big thing that helps get everyone through.
I remember one of the medicines Haley was on, I think it was OxyContin or something for pain, and when Dr. Larson, he's another doctor at the clinic, came in and told us he was going to put Haley on that, my wife looked at him and said, great, next thing we know, we're going to be in line at the methadone clinic for her or something, and he, so again, we try and have a, somewhat sense of humor, because that's what that's how you cope, and yes, there were times that it was very, very difficult, but there's also a lot of memorable times where we came together as a family, and so it again, I can't say enough about the program and about the staff there, because none of that would have been possible without them. So.
I mean, we have the holidays coming up, but Thanksgiving, Christmas, the amount of gifts that pour in, and to be able to, in a clinic visit, to be able to give a child, a gift, and then give the sibling a gift, and we have family. It's not just the patient, but it's the siblings, and for them to receive those things when they happen to be in the hospital over significant holidays, the staff are incredible about getting together and making it feel like it's special. Halloween, that we just had, a number of kids unfortunately were in the hospital, and they got more candy than any of their friends probably would have gotten, and it just makes the experience a little bit easier to go through. We dressed up in clinic every day of the clinic. That week we had a theme that our social workers put together, and so the kids, feed off of that. They see that we're, having a good time.
Life's going
Life's
on.
going on, and trying to live life.
That's a lot like, it's not preventive medicine, but or holistic medicine, but it's a combination of everything.
Yeah, and that's the part that I think gets overlooked is that, we do the treatment, the outline, but it's all the other supportive mechanisms that really help a family and patient get through what they're going through initially and then beyond. And at least at our clinic at Maine Children's Cancer Program, we recognize that, so we have those support people in place. And then thankfully with the fundraising efforts that we have by Mike and other people, that we can continue to support that. And but obviously times are always hard, and so you can always we appreciate anything that anyone's able to do, whether it's volunteering time or money, gifts, whatever it is to help, is always appreciated.
When I think of little children, I don't know. I babysit at the gym, and I love it. I've been doing that 13 years. If they come in just wearing glasses, you go, oh, my goodness, that's a big thing, never mind.
Right. The children, they lose their hair, many of them,
Yeah.
and they don't even know the difference. Cute as can be, and they run around, and in the wintertime they have these nice caps that volunteers have knit for them that they wear, and oftentimes the parents will shave their heads, in solidarity, and so we'll get the whole family coming in, and the things that maybe as an adult, things that worry us or we worry about in terms of our appearance, the kids, being on steroids where it can change, how you look, they don't think about that as much. I mean, certainly our teenagers do, and we work with them psychologically to help with that, but many of the children accept these things, know that they're temporary, and people rally behind it, and you get a whole community or school that all of a sudden is shaving their heads or doing something to help, and I think that helps too when they realize that there's a whole community backing them that they never even knew was there.
That's beautiful, it is. I'm really speechless.
That's kind of rare for you, isn't it?
You know me. Oh. Well, I thank you for coming.
Oh, this is a great opportunity
It's been a pleasure.
for us to be able to talk about this.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank them
Thank you.
too. They're good about that.
Yeah.
They're always happy to have you. If you want to come again, you're welcome.
Great.
Keep up the good work. And I'm going to read a sentence because I want everybody to hear this. To learn more about Maine Children's Cancer Program and to make a donation, visit www.mccp.org. Just email or call. They can use your help, and you can see that it goes for a wonderful cause. And little children is special. They are.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak about it.
Come again. And I'm glad to meet you, and I knew you.
Good to see you again.
I'm glad your daughter's doing so well.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Well, folks, thank you for listening. We're happy to be here with you, and enjoy the weather, because Maine, it could snow any day. It did last year or the year before Halloween. And then the rest of the winter, there wasn't hardly any snow.
That's right.
I'm waiting for snow, but don't be mad at me. People tell me I should go to the North Pole. I like the snow and the cold. I don't like the hot heat. I don't know why. When it snows, my soul just floats up in the air. It's just, I have to get right out in it. Do you ever get that feeling?
I love it.
I know it's bad underfoot, and it's cold, and
There's something serene about it.
yeah, that's it, exactly. And it doesn't last forever. You know it's going to go away. Well, thank you again. Try to stay healthy. There are a lot of bad colds around. Again, thank you for listening. And these gentlemen gave us something to think about. And I know we all think about little children anyway. Thank you again. Love, ZAFFIE.